Hello, hello. Thanks for coming, everybody. My name is Jamie True. I'm Head of Business Development at Simpled. And essentially, this isn't going to be a presentation. This is going to be a thought-led conversation just to try and change the perspective of what most people think smart technology is. So, smart technology in general, but certainly smart locks, especially in the UK, have been really perceived as nothing more than a tech toy currently. So something that someone who has got their lights linked up to Alexa and things like that they could add this into the fold to increase their security on the front door. However, there's many applications to smart locks that people don't really take into consideration, and a big part of that is medical care. So I want to tell you a story about a company that we're working with in California called Tristan Mobile. So they are he's a very interesting gentleman, the CEO over there, but he essentially has had an issue with his elderly parents where they've fallen over and they've hurt themselves, and no one knew for a while, and it caused a lot more problems than it needed to. So he decided that he wanted to find a way to counteract that in the future. So what he's actually done, which is quite interesting, he's created his own network company, mobile network company, which essentially pairs into smartwatches that he manufactures. And what this does is, if an elderly user is wearing that watch and they fall over, it will automatically use this mobile company that he's created to try and send texts and calls to family members to try and let them know that something might be wrong. With that happening, if nothing comes of that, if the family members don't pick it up and answer it, it automatically calls the paramedics. Now, in America, as you well know, they not only have to pay for their health care, but if anything was broken when a paramedic was trying to get through to the property, they would have to pay for that too. So what we've done is we've partnered with him and our smart locks so that when it calls the paramedics, and the paramedics will come out to the property, instead of the paramedics having to break down the door and having an additional cost on top of that, our locks will put themselves immediately into passage mode, which essentially means the door is unlocked for the paramedic to let themselves in and look after the person that needs help. So there's many different applications where people don't consider smart locks being as important as they are. So another good example of this is my grandfather. He has really bad Parkinson's, and he cannot put a key in a keyhole very well. He even struggles to even open the handles. So with our locks, because obviously I've got this on my property and we've also then put it on his property, is he can use what's called a Bluetooth remote control, which is essentially, it looks like a car key with just two buttons on it, lock and unlock, and he can press that button and our motorized cylinder will automatically open the door and allow him just to push it. So he doesn't have to fumble around with the keys, he doesn't have to try and type in a code. Now, of course, there are applications where it makes sense to use smart locks for the code ability. So this country so far commercially has been quite receptive to smart locks for Airbnbs and things like that. But they're only now just starting to come around to using smart locks domestically to not only increase your security, but also the quality of life and the way that you're able to do things. So I often liken it to Alexas. Alexas and Google Homes. 5 years ago, there wasn't that many Alexas and Google Homes out there. Now, my elderly parents have got 5. Why? Because it's easier. It's easier to set their alarms. It's easier to listen to music. It's easier to do everything they need to do through this technology. And this is the direction that smart locks are going in as well. So when a smart lock is presented correctly, there are a lot more applications than people realize. This isn't just a commercial, beneficial tech toy. This is something that can really change the quality of life of those around them. I mean, has anyone used a smart lock or seen one before? No? Okay, great. Yeah, of course, Lee from Access Control. Look, we are over there. We know it's fairly new technology within the UK. We'd love to show you just how they work so you can start to understand the benefits of using this in a domestic application as well. So our product range is absolutely massive. We really pride ourselves on trying to make sure that we can fit into multiple different mechanisms with multiple different solutions for different needs. Another good example of this is our double-sided smart lock, which requires a fingerprint on the inside to get outside as well. Now, you might think, why would you want to do that? If somebody was looking after someone with Alzheimer's or autism, where they're trying to let themselves out at times they're not supposed to, what the carers can do is they can actually set it so that that fingerprint will stop working after a certain time, which means that they can go to bed without worrying about whoever it is they're looking after going downstairs and trying to let themselves out the front door. They know that that will stop them from being able to do that, but of course it will then allow the parents to go down, or whoever's looking after them to go down and be able to do that. In terms of the functionality as well, for things like the timed codes and things like that, when it comes to letting carers into the property, this is another really, really big benefit to smart locks that you don't really have with the traditional lock and key. If you give a carer or anyone a traditional key, the issue with that is if they lose that key, it's not just the cost of getting a new key cut. The only way to guarantee the security of that property is by completely changing the locking barrel, because that key cannot be revoked. It will always work for that barrel. In most cases, this isn't an issue. However, with smart locks, it's not an issue at all, because you can give them a code that will only work at the times they're supposed to be coming. And if ever you need to revoke the access, you can. You don't need to change anything on the door. You don't need to get anything new cut or made or anything like that. You can just revoke it through the app. This is going to really start to pick up, I think, in the UK as we continue to build trust. I think that's the big thing with the UK at the moment is we're a little bit slow to trust, and I think that we need to see it working for others before it gets picked up and adopted by the general public. And I think we are going in the right direction now, and I do believe that amazing events like this really do help start to change the perspective on what these technologies can do. I've literally just come from the Ideal Home Show, and one of the main questions that we get asked all the time is, how secure are they? Are they going to get hacked like the cars that are getting stolen? And I say to people all the time that it's about the features and it's about the way that you handle that data. So we use an end-to-end encrypted software with banking level encryption, and in terms of the biometric data and things on the actual locks themselves, we store everything on the local on your local device. We don't put anything into the cloud, so there's less unnecessary risk to be taken there. And basically by having all of this in place, we're going to find that more and more people are going to start to see the benefits, both domestically, commercially, for care, for all of these sort of things. They're going to really start to see that that smart locks are the way forward. I don't actually know how long I've been going. Probably not very long, actually, there. Sorry, I didn't come as prepared today as I'd hoped. Does anyone have any questions regarding smart locks in general? I mean, we do have some models over there. I can see some people are having a look. We'd love to show you how they work if you're interested. And please do just come and have a chat. And if you've got any questions, just let me know.